time to time I'm not ready. But so here's the ANGLR app. This is Yatesville Lake in eastern Kentucky. And I'll be honest with you, right? I marked a couple of things, but it looks a lot like a Smith Lake.
Oh yeah, I like the way that one looks.
Uh-oh.
Honestly, this is probably going to be my most favorite part. I mean, I spend every night when I know where the tournament's going to be. I spend so much time doing this, and there's been no tournaments, so I've been kind of really waiting to really look at some satellite images.
Yeah, we're going to see if anybody, if you've fished this lake before. It's Yatesville Lake in eastern Kentucky. If you fished it before, comment over here on the side. Let us know how we're doing on the breakdown, if we're completely off base or if we're kind of making you think it might be something to check out. But actually, best I can tell, looking at it real quick, it's one of those lakes that are running upside down, which blows my mind, but that happens a lot. But it looks like that's the dam kind of on the north end up here, best I can tell again. That's both ends. There's a marina down there marked, and then there's a little old honey hole up that river marked. That's that little yellow. So that's the cool thing about this app. You can actually go in and drop waypoints, and they got a bunch of built-in ones, and then you can actually do custom ones and everything too, dot, rock, whatnot. So here's the marina down here, and I marked this because shad's phone. I mean, it should be. We talked about that with John Cox last week on his segment of breaking down your water. And what do you think about that? Would you go in there and do a little something?
Oh yeah, man. I'm not the best at throwing around docks, but they do. I mean, I've been whooped from underneath them docks, especially on lakes like that. I for instance, Smith Lake, which looks like Smith Lake just turned around. David Williams, I finished second to him in one of them, and then someone else beat me the other time, and they were the same thing, was catching that shad swan first thing in the morning. I always miss out on that because I usually don't get up early, so I don't think I've been on a shad spawn bite in a while. But those guys, they say it's incredible first thing, and they really load the boat really quick on stuff like that.
The key to Cox's success: sleep in. Sleep in, avoid the shad spawn, and then you just got to catch up, and it makes you better. Right. It's adversity. Imagine if you did get up.
I know. I keep thinking, I'm like, I should probably really try to find the shad spawn. Who knows? The tournament's starting later. I might have to, so we'll see.
If you started at 16 or 17 pounds right off the bat, and then went out and coiled up with your catch throughout the day, and you end up with 28 pounds.
Right.
Maybe you shouldn't do that, because I still fish a few tournaments, and I'd rather not get mauled over by you when you do that. See, moving around, I mean, that looks like I said, down near the dam, best I can tell. I mean, it looks so much like Smith. That's the dam there. Maybe where it's Smith. Not where
it looks like it.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to move up, and what you'll see, which is a lot like Smith, there's not really a lot to go on from the satellite imagery other than there's just a lot of little pockets and cuts and little deals. And that's what, like, especially when, I don't know if this lake floods, but that's one of the things I've seen you do that's so cool, is like you'll get these little guts when the water goes way further back here. And all of a sudden you'll be back in the woods. I went looking for you in an FLW tour event on Smith Lake, and they sent me your GPS location, and I'm arguing with the guy that sent it to me saying, you're full of crap. He's not back in his pocket. I'm looking at trees. I'm looking not a cypress swamp where you can wiggle back. I'm looking at the freaking forest. It's solid wall trees.
Right.
And then I'm sitting there arguing with the guy on the phone, and here comes John back out. And the next time he sent me a waypoint, I just pulled my boat up on the bank, power pole down, got out on the bank, and walked.
Went and walked.
Try to find you, and you were back there again. So would you say that'd be something to look for if it floods? I mean,
yeah, 100%. Like, a lot of times those flooded areas, on the map, you especially want to look, like, I don't know if you're even right where you're at, like you can see where the creek goes back, and you can kind of see a little clearing, like right in there. As soon as you get in, there's a little bit of a clearing. That's the kind of stuff I'd look for in that flooded scenario, to where, somewhere when the water comes up, you can kind of get to an edge, that's flooded areas. It seems like that edge is just such key, because when they can go too far back, it just it spreads them out too much, and you can't really find them concentrated.
Yeah.
But that definitely, I mean, you can see it right where it's just a little bit cleared on that point in there.
Yeah, it looks like maybe.
Yeah, right there. That's where they'd be.
That's where they'd be. You just got to wait for the water to come about 7 or 8 feet here.
Yeah.
Back to not knowing what we're really talking about, but we're talking about. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and you get a lot of that. So with these little deals, all right. So here's the question. Again, you see, there's just a lot of these little fingers off this deal.
Right.
Do you look for the longer ones, the shorter ones, the
Yeah.
ones closer to the river?
You know what I do? Like, so a lot of times, I try to remember. I mean, the whole thing is going in. A lot of times, especially on that lake, if it's like Smith, it's very hard to tell from a satellite image which ones are the good ones because there's so many of them. But what I would do, like if I'm pushed for time and I don't really know, I look for anything that looks similar to another any other lake I've been to where they had the same kind of layout and arms. Which don't know why. Even like this one that we're just talking about, how it's got your main one that goes in, and then it's got a small hook going in. A lot of times I like the way that looks because see how that's like a perfect it's like you got a deep channel swing on the right of it, and then you have that shallower point going in. I mean, you can sometimes pattern those, especially like going into the spring, and then when they're coming out too. And sometimes they'll be spawning on that shallower side, and then if it's too cold or the spawn's over, you'll find them on that deep side, and then I just run those pockets, and some are better than others, and
It looks like too that there doesn't look to be a lot of cover, wood, grass, anything like that.
right.
Too. So that kind of bank, like you're talking about on the left there, looks like what I've caught them before when they're wolf packing and around.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Got that little bit shallower bank, and they'll just be creeping
Yep.
down the bank with no cover.
Right, and there'll be certain key areas that you can't see on the image that you'll have to visually fish to find. Like either a piece of wood or an itty bitty lay down or something like that.
And then if you do catch them right there, luckily you have about 1 million of little pockets.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
another thing on this, do you find that like, okay, you caught them in that pocket we were talking about that's the mouth's facing north? Do you go
right.
and look for those same type of pockets?
Believe it or not, the place I've seen it really make a difference was right. I was on Table Rock, and the fish were coming up, and it was amazing how all the northern the pockets that were protected by the north wind, and they were in lower lying areas where there wasn't any mountains. It was flat, just where you could see where it was a little more flat in that area. They were all in those pockets, and you could easily just zoom in, and you would kind of see that there wasn't as much mountain area, and it would kind of get flattened out. And boy, they were spawning like crazy there and nowhere else.
Yeah, I'm looking on this map, and there is not a lot. It looks like it's pretty mountainous all around there.
Yeah, it is. It looks really deep everywhere. So I mean, those
this creek here, maybe it looks like it runs in a little further, so it's probably got less of a steep bank to it, and
right.
And it's protected from that north wind. So might be something like that.
Yep, that one does look. I like that one, and just to break down that whole finger right there. So if we started like in the spring of the year, when fish are coming in, if it's a slowly warming up, if it's gradually getting warmer each day, and it's not an extreme warm, you'll find a lot of them fish spawning in the back there and in those two fingers in the very back. But what happens a lot, especially like the last couple of years, we've had like extreme weather changes where it's freezing one day and then we're in like the 80s, and the next day, when that seems to happen, and almost like those fish don't even migrate all the way back, and they just come out from the main lake, and when you go out towards the mouth there, they just kind of get on those the closer pockets going in. They just don't even travel all the way to the backs in those scenarios.
For those just tuning in, John Cox and myself, Shaye Baker, are breaking down Yatesville Lake on the ANGLR app, and this is water that neither of us have ever fished, and I honestly didn't even know it existed until the request came in through my Instagram. We put up a little question out there, and let's see, what was his name? Massey. It was Hunter Massey hit us with this one, so be looking for that next Wednesday. We'll put up another post in my story on Instagram, and we'll try to get some more suggestions to see what kind of lake we want to break down. While we're still in here, I mean, there's a lot to break down on this thing. I mean, like I said, it's a lot like Smith.
Yeah. I like that. There, see where there's a pinch point right there? That looks like a really good arm. Yeah, right in there. Right. That would be definitely a place where that's the kind of stuff I look for, where fish are going to travel in and out of there. it's just a good pinch area where those fish are going to come together.
I named that one.
That's your spot.
I took that
Marking that.
That's where everyone, I mean, hey, finders. I got the patrol over here. Me and a buddy, we look good. And before
Yeah.
we cast it, because we were in the middle of a cast, I go, mine. I just go,
Yeah.
so they got where we were calling entire creeks and lakes and everything. So
Right.
if there's ever any kind of confusion, that right there does look fantastic in half call. All right. Yeah. So the one thing I want to do before we get off here, and like I said, there's a lot to look at, but we're going to move way down upriver. And before we do that, Derek at ANGLR is watching stuff in the background for me. He wants to know what baits we would use in those arms.
So I mean, even the ones we went over are perfect. Because I don't know where anything's at, especially if I didn't have a time to idle and I just had to go fish. I would definitely take the Jaywalker, and I would throw the Jaywalker around those smooth banks, where there's only little bits of cover on them, I imagine. And then on any of those banks, a lot of times we'll get flooded and we'll get like, all like the sawdust mats and little piles. You get all the trash after, and I think we just had a really hard rain, so there probably is a bunch of that stuff in those arms. That's where I would take the swim jig out and just swimming around, flipping into some of that stuff. Just working under the water, some just kind of cover water and try to find what pockets have the active fish in them.
And we're headed to something that I think you're gonna like. And I just looked real quick just to make sure that I could find Yatesville whenever he recommended we look at it. But looking up here at the honey hole I marked earlier, look at all this.
Wow.
Don't that look like somewhere you can knock a
that looks perfect back there. I mean, it looks like low water might be a little tricky to get in there. And then, that looks amazing right there. I really like the way that looks. That's got everything you'd want right there. It's got
popping frog.
Oh yeah, and I mean and you're gonna get you're gonna early spring, you're gonna catch spawners in there. As it goes on, and you get the bluegills to bed in there. Yeah, it's got everything, and then even back into the fall. That's where I'm going first thing. You can have the little blow through there. I'll take that one.
I'd say you trim her up, literally. You wouldn't shut down until you probably hit right there.
Yeah. That's what I'd probably do. Start back there and work my way out.
So when you're fishing those places like that, you like to start in the very back of them and fish your way out?
It really depends on what the weather is and what time of year it is. If it's just starting to warm up or we've had a lot of rain and the water's starting to clear up, I probably would go towards the backs. Try to find where the water's starting to clear up first. But I mean, I don't know. That whole area looks good. That might be a place I might have to just throw the trolling motor down and fish all that area up there because it looks really fishy.
Yeah, it does look pretty.
It does. It looks real good.
So I was looking at it. It looks like this is the main current. Or like you know what I mean. So on all these little, if you did have some current, what would you focus on here?
Yeah. So I think what will happen there is once it starts warming up and it's starting to get hot and you got that main flow, all them fish are going to pull out of that backwater area and they're just going to get on either those ends or lay downs. Yeah. Any of those openings, they'll get at those mouths. And that's going to definitely be, when you're breaking down a river system or fishing up a river, you always seem like your best parts of the river are where you have those spawning areas. Those just seem to be the most productive, where you got more fish all coming to a smaller area.
Throw a little square bill on that right there.
Oh yeah, yep. I'd square bill them if the sun was out and chatterbait them or throw the jig on them if it was cloudy.
Chris Flay asked earlier, what's your go-to chatterbait or vibrating jig? Is it a chatterbait?
I just been throwing the Z-Man ones forever. I mean, it's just I've thrown the original one for a while. I really like the custom one a lot. I'm trying to get into the whole jackhammer thing. I throw my chatterbait a little bit different. A lot of guys that throw it, they throw a lot of open water, and fishing in the hydrilla and stuff, and they kind of let it get out on the bottom. I like throwing like mine a lot closer range and shallower water, only like in like a foot or so. And but I'm working on throwing it out deeper.
I'll say that the jackhammer. When I first saw, and I love Z-Man stuff, and when I first saw the jackhammer come out and how the price point, I was like, man, I don't know if you can really improve on the original or the custom
Right.
that much. But one
Right.
thing I say about that joker, for fishing out deeper and for fishing more open water,
Hmm.
it does start instantly. Like, and you give the regular one a couple pops, and if you're up around like a shallow grass mat or a shallow grass field or whatever, you're gonna have
Right.
to catch it all the time anyway. So up
Right.
shallow, I never really worry about. I just throw that same one. They got good hooks in them. The clips are good. They've been
Right.
with the custom big time, and I'll just throw it up there and give it a pop and start reeling it. But you can throw that one out deeper and let it sink, and man, as soon as you turn the handle on that,
It's right.
it starts rocking. And that was
Right.
the thing I was most impressed about by that one, for like the type fishing you're talking about, that more offshore and deeper stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
What about this? I mean, we can't even. We've done. Oh, look at this. That's mine.
Ooh, that's nice there.
Uh,
That's real nice.
that's a whole big old spawning flat. And
Yeah,
this little.
that's the kind of pocket. What I like about that pocket is early spring. The water's still pretty cold. You got some dirty water there. That's where I'd love to go in there, and I would take that half ounce or quarter ounce war pig and just throw it around. It's like a lipless bait, and just crank it around that shallow water. And boy, that looks like one of them holes they'd get on it. You could just go around it all spring and get them.
You got a lot to work with in there. All right, so that was fun. Breaking down your water. Did you enjoy that, John?
Yeah, I did. I needed that. I'm hoping we can get back to doing that pretty soon, but we'll see.
Would you recommend the ANGLR app to a friend?
Oh, without a doubt. I know we got the new rods that just came out with the clicker in them. I mean, that's, I'm going to definitely have a couple, especially in practice. I mean, how awesome that is. You can just go and, you can get in the area and you can just click your spot and just keep moving. Never have to, do anything.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what John's talking about, Abu Garcia and ANGLR partnered up to put the ANGLR bullseye, this little deal here, where it is right there, in the butt of a virtual rod. You go out and you can link it to the ANGLR app that we just had up on the screen.